Hello and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast. I'm Rahul Sharma, your host, where I bring stories of leaders moving from invisible to becoming an influencer. Today, I'm very pleased to present you a guest who is a very dynamic leader and a co-author of Facilitation Advantage, a practical guide for leaders seeking to enhance their confidence, communication, and influence. With a master's in industrial and organizational psychology, she combines deep expertise with a knack for creating simple, actionable solutions that deliver measurable impact. Today, as a founder of Miclot LLC, she works with leaders to navigate the complexities of modern workplaces. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome Therese Miclot to our show. How are you doing, Therese? Thank you for
I'm good,
joining us.
Rahul. Thank you. What a wonderful introduction.
Absolutely. This your degree, industrial and organizational psychology, was something that I wanted to do. I applied for when I was doing my master's.
Hmm.
Applied to Bowling Green State University. They are one of the pioneer in industrial and organizational psychology.
Hmm.
Since I never had any psychology courses in my undergrad,
Okay.
I could not make it to their PhD program. But
Uh-huh.
nevertheless, I did the master's in organization development from Bowling
Huh.
Green. So
Huh.
when I was going through your bio, it just took me back to my days when I was coming here for masters.
Yeah, it's great. Then we're going to have a great conversation. I think we have a
Absolutely,
lot in
absolutely.
common. Mhm.
So, enlighten us and our audience, Therese, about your leadership journey, how things started for you, the love to industrial and organizational psychology, because I don't see many people, at least back then.
Yes.
When I say back then, maybe a decade or 15 years ago, people were not very much savvy about the IO psychology. So,
Yes.
give us a gist of your leadership
Sure.
journey, please.
Yes, I will. So, my journey into the field was through personal tragedy. So, my father died when I was 13. I'm the middle child, one of three, and my mom did not have a degree, did not have formal work experience, and we found ourselves in a pretty big financial crisis. My mom had to return to work and basically find whatever she could. So I had a front row seat at watching my mom come home every day, dejected, frustrated, um, losing confidence in herself. And it was tied to the kinds of leaders she worked with, her supervisors, that I witnessed as really ineffective and very poor.
Mhm.
And soon after, my brother, sister, and I had to all get jobs. I worked at the library and I was putting away pamphlets on careers. And I stumbled upon industrial organizational psychology. And what drew me to it was this personal experience of seeing my mom suffer under bad bosses. And I thought, okay, well, how does a leader become a leader in an organizational setting? And how is it that bad leaders can rise, inside an organization? And that led me down the path. And today I work with more senior level executives, but I will tell you, Raul, that I'm never, it's never far from my mind. The person that is two, three, four layers down in the organization, like my mom, single mom, trying to do her best with very little position power, with very little choice, and brings home the pressures of everyday work. And I've been inspired my entire career to help eradicate bad leadership.
Mm, wow. Wow. And when you were sharing that story, what was going in my mind, you really actually took me to that stage of yours when you saw your mom
Hmm.
coming back home, dejected, rejected.
Hmm.
And that has been one of the reason why I created a podcast to raise because I have seen firsthand, not at home, fortunately, unfortunately, but at my workplace,
Hmm.
where I have seen people quitting on jobs, people
Yeah.
getting dejected, going through that mental health issues, just
Mhm.
because they don't have a great leader. They don't
Yeah.
have someone who can really bring smiles on people's faces. So,
Yeah.
by sharing the stories of ours, my whole objective is that people who are listening, if they are leader, they
Mhm.
bring that change. And the
Yes.
people who are aspiring leaders, they don't do those things that really has an adverse effect on someone else's life. Because I believe that when we are a leader, uh, we have an ownership of not just us and our family, we
Mhm.
have the ownership of the family of people that we are leading.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
and no one has given right, neither the employer, neither the God, to play with someone's career, to play with
Mhm.
someone's life.
Mhm.
And then I see a whole lot where people get they on that self pity mode, or probably they get more selfish and they choose to do things that is not right for people. So I'm
Mm.
glad what you are doing. I'm glad that the leaders who are working with you are very, very fortunate to learn directly from you, who has done it all, learned through the weeds, and then became a champion that you are, Therese. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, I can't imagine that any listener who's joining us in this conversation hasn't worked for a bad boss. I
Mhm.
think it's sad, but I think it's universal. And if you haven't worked for a bad boss, then congratulations, but someone you know and love probably did. And I think that you and I both are in the same business of elevating people. And I think we have our work cut out for ourselves.
Yes, yes. And on that note, I would also say that no one is born as a bad boss or a good boss.
Yes.
It is the environment, it is the
Hmm.
atmosphere that they are brought in that really shape them to be the leader. And
Yes.
I believe that we don't learn leadership when we go to a training program, or
Hmm.
when we go to an Harvard or any Ivy League to do an MBA. I think
Hmm.
leadership we learn right from early age. Right as
Mm.
a kid, we
Mhm,
see our
mhm.
parents, so we see our siblings,
Yeah.
we see our teachers,
Mhm.
professors, and then when we start our job, we also see the leaders. So
Right.
by the time you actually get seat on the table to be that leader, you
Mhm.
already know good, bad, ugly. Now it is on us. What things are we taking from
Mhm.
these people? Are we taking their good things, or are we taking their not so good things?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so if so
Yeah.
for aspiring leaders, it's not that you only learn when you attend leadership training. You are also
Mhm.
learning on the go. So
Yeah.
don't take that everyone is a bad or everyone is a good. Uh,
Mhm.
and they become based on the culture of the organization. They become as a culture of the home
Mhm.
also. I believe our home play a vital role. I mean, today, yes, my organization has taught me, my education has taught me, but I've seen my parents. My father, mother has been a giver that has come in me. My father was a part of government of India, and the way he worked, the discipline he had, I have imbibed that discipline from him. So we get a lot of things from our parents. And from your experience, Therese, when you train, when you work with your clients,
Mhm.
is there a specific thing you see when it comes to their leadership skills? So, one of the aspect I have seen many new leaders, they face a challenge
Mhm.
is letting go, or kind of
Mm.
a delegation.
Mhm.
It's very difficult for them to delegate.
Sure.
And
Right.
from your experience,
Mhm.
why delegation happens to be one of the critical skills for new leaders,
Sure.
and why it's often neglected?
Yes. Well, my specialty is in working with very technical, astute people who have to make the shift from super doer, as I call it,
Hmm.
someone known for getting everything done and responsible and produce quality work to leadership. And the most challenging piece I find for people is what you just described, delegation.
Mm,
Because sometimes we get our identity from the work and we like it. And so, leadership is complex and messy and difficult. And sometimes we revert back to the things that make us comfortable, even if it's tactical things.
mhm,
And so I find that it's a real challenge for most of us because we think our value is in doing. And while true, it becomes a bottleneck particularly when you're now expected to be a team leader or a director, that our value has to be reassessed from being the tactical doer to a more strategic advisor and leader of the business. The two good things happen when you can delegate well. The first is that you create more capacity for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that I work with a lot of leaders who are burnt out, who feel overwhelmed, who can't get out of the day to day work. And then they see extra responsibilities added to their plate. So their delegation helps you create the space to spend more time on the strategic things. And the second value of learning this is that it's a development tool. And you said it best, like, you can go to a lot of training classes, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate into you being a good leader just
Mm-hmm.
by osmosis. And so when you can delegate well, it's on the job learning for people who need to learn to be able to take on more. So those are two things: capacity and developing other people.
Wow. I think you have very well mentioned about this fundamental challenge that many organizations face is they make or they promote people into leadership who
Hmm.
are a great individual contributor.
Right, right.
And
Yes.
when you mention that, reassess the value of the person when they are in a different role is very, very
Right.
important because the value the person was giving when he or she was an individual contributor
Yeah.
was maybe 9 on 10 or maybe 10 on 10.
Yes.
The moment you move them to a leadership role,
Yeah.
you cannot have them encash same check twice. So
Right.
what value they brought earlier, they cannot continue with that same value. I mean, they can, but
Yes.
you need to really assess it, reassess those values.
Hmm.
And I see that one of the fundamental challenge in many organizations where they promote people with a high performance as an individual
Hmm.
contributor
Hmm.
without providing them the leadership skills
Right.
workshop or maybe a guidance or a
Yeah.
coach, and then things happen where they get frustrated, people underneath them get frustrated,
Mhm.
and companies unable to understand why they are having attrition. So
Yeah.
it's a unique challenge.
My first job, out of grad school was in a, multi-billion-dollar organization where they're growing very fast. And so they were promoting people very quickly, just as you said, because they're good engineers, they're good salespeople, they're good marketers. And somehow we think by osmosis that you'll be a good leader. And
Mhm.
we just know that that's not true, that you have to be equipped with those skills. And you're right that it's actually a business need, not a, just, to do well by people. But if your business strategy is about growing and scaling, entering new markets, then the work to do is to translate that into, okay, well, then what does it mean and require for our leaders
Right.
to be ready to operate in that new environment?
Absolutely.
And that's where I spend my time.
Very good. And I think one of the blind spot which I have observed, and especially the new leaders, is they do not know that they do not have an ability to delegate.
Hmm.
When I say when I'm saying ability, is not about uh, the skill or will part. They
Yes.
just don't do it
Yeah.
because they believe that I'm able to do this job in maybe an hour. If I delegate, it will take
Sure.
3 hours or 4 hours.
Yes. Yes.
And
When I coach people on the skill of delegation,
Mhm.
we the place we start is in the story you're telling yourself about it.
Mm,
Because for years, when I ask what gets in the way of delegation, it's exactly what you said, Rahul. I can do it faster.
yeah.
I don't want to overburden other people.
Mm.
If they make a mistake, I'm going to have to fix it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get it done the way I want it, and so until you can change the story in your mind about it, it doesn't matter what book you read or what tool you use
Yeah.
until you change your mindset about delegation.
Correct. And as you know, it is one of the bigger challenge in many organization.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my research about you, Therese, this aspect is something you have done a lot, and you have mastered this aspect of delegation.
Mhm.
And you do something like 30-day delegation
Mhm.
club or something. So
Yeah.
I would want you to share with us, because many leaders are facing this
Mhm.
challenge to ensure that their new leaders are delegating,
Yeah.
their new leaders are empowering their team members.
Yeah.
So enlighten us about that 30-day delegation club.
Sure.
What's the structure and how it helps people to become a great delegator?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, our cohort is just ending next week. And one of the leaders said already that because of this process, they have saved 6 hours a week. 6 hours a week. And so this is about quantitative change, not just kind of a feel good, learn something and try to implement it. So there are real results from this process. And there's a couple fundamental things about it. First is the science behind what it takes to create a new habit. Because we're just made of habits. It's how we operate every single day. Brain likes to be at rest. And so habits are very helpful to us, except when they're not aligned with where we want to go. And so if your habit is, I'll just do it, I'm not going to bother others, it would take me longer, then the 30-day habit is about changing your perception and then the skill to now create a different habit. For instance, one of the cohort members that I worked with now has something on his computer, on his
Mm,
laptop, and it says, Am I the best person to do this?
mm.
And what it's doing is helping him stop in the moment and reassess when he gets that email or he gets that request. Am I the best one to be doing this? Is this the highest leverage use of my time? And what he's finding is that habit of pausing his natural behavior is now enabling him to delegate instead of doing it himself. So the 30-day process uses a research backed tool that will start to help you and daily nudge you on the habit of delegation. And then throughout that experience, there's resources. I created a custom GPT on delegation. And then we have multiple touch points, live touch points to troubleshoot and ensure that you're continuing at the end of 30 days to have time savings that you can reapply or use it to leave work at a reasonable time. Use it to
Absolutely.
not be overburdened and
Correct.
burnt out.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great initiative of the organizations basically who are sending their people
Hmm.
to this 30-day club, because 6 hours saving in a project or in any
Yeah.
task
Every
is
week.
huge.
Yeah.
6 in a week.
Well,
Yes,
it's
it's huge.
more than half a day a week.
Yeah, that's so incredible. And and people do not realize that when they are delegating, and as I think you touched base on this point earlier,
Mm.
you're also increasing your own capacity.
Yeah.
You're increasing your capacity. You're taking care of your mental health. It's so amazing, and you will be surprised that there are people who may do better than you,
Mhm.
may not do the way you want to get it done.
Yes. Yes.
It's something better.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
always look for those options whenever you are able to delegate.
Yeah,
Then,
there's one I'll tell you one quick story. There's
yes.
a leader who's in the midst of this, and he said to me, "Therese, well, then what value am I showing?"
Mm,
That it was this more of an identity and a concern. Like, well, if I delegate this, then will management think that, my job is redundant? And that's not the case. If anything, it's now being able to step up and say, give me more strategic work. Or
mm,
there's a need that's not being met. I can take that on. And so there is a bit of an identity shift that has to also occur because you might now all of a sudden like think, okay, well, I mean, 6 hours saved, what do I do with that time?
absolutely. And I think it's a very common thought that I have also observed in people, that if I give away this task, then people will not value me. Then
Yeah.
my job will become redundant.
Yeah.
My advice would be that have a conversation with your leader
Yeah.
early on. I mean, you need to create your
Right.
own path. Don't wait for your leader to create path
Yeah.
for you. within
Yeah.
your career. So
Mhm.
you go and have a conversation that, hey, Mr. Manager, these are the 5 tasks that I'm responsible for. Will be
Mhm.
able to delegate these 3. What would be the next for me? What
Yeah.
can I take? What can I get? What more responsible?
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
are also prepared. Your leader is prepared, and it's a progressive path because
Yeah.
here is not having a magic wand
Yeah.
or on and off switch that they will
Right.
just put on new tasks to you. So
It's yeah.
prepare their your leaders and then have a conversation. You will be seen as a very futuristic person.
Yeah.
You will be seen as a person who is very committed and serious about your career. Uh,
Mhm.
Very, very important. And Therese, on this delegation point,
Mhm.
I also know that your expertise is with the tech industry. You work with a lot of technologists, and in the tech side, people are always focusing on their technology aspect. They are very much into gaining knowledge on
Mhm.
technology and not
Mhm.
focusing on these managerial aspects around
Right.
delegation. So,
Right.
in your experience, what is the mindset needs to change, or what kind of uh, thought process this tech expert needs to have when it comes to delegation?
Well, I'll give you a specific example. So, I'm working quite a bit in the cybersecurity industry right now, and a lot of their technologists who have facts behind their decisions. So, if they're going to go to a product manager and say, "Wait, wait, wait, you cannot launch this product because X, Y, and Z risk,"
Mm.
uh, today they've just come into that conversation thinking about their story, their message, the facts. And the shift that they have to make is to enter in that conversation with a broader perspective, first around um, how do I step into the shoes of that product manager? What are their hot buttons? What how do I listen to their point of view? How do I influence without authority? Because in essence, there becomes this tension, right, between the cyber person and the product manager who's like, no, we promised a customer, we're going to get this out. And I'm seeing you as combative. You are preventing this, from happening. And so technologists need to come into conversations where they need to work with their counterparts with a very different mindset from just, I'm here to tell you the facts, to I wonder what they need to know or learn, or how can I learn more so that the outcome is something we both can live with.
Wow. So it's more of a uh, end-to-end process rather, and it's a two-way street. It is
Yeah.
not that you just do it and people will learn it. It's a two-way street where they have to make sure that they see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
They
And you
don't just
see the
see
bigger
that
picture.
one task that needs to get delegated,
Yes.
see a bigger picture from the delegation aspect.
Yeah. I think then the result is you're brought into key conversations sooner,
Mm.
not at the last minute when you are the one that has to deliver bad news or stop, progress. Again, oftentimes what I, tell technologists is, they'll think it's just black and white. The facts are the facts. I don't have to sell that. We don't have to argue over the risk, the cyber risk of launching this product. And while that can be true, it's not going to have the influence of impact that you need to have when you're working cross functionally.
Hmm.
And
Correct.
more technologists have to be able to develop the skill of influential communication,
Hmm.
of more collaboration, because as AI redefines some of the work, humans are going to need to rely more on their ability to collaborate, be resilient, communicate better.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those that do that now, I think are future proofing their skills in a way.
Absolutely. To piggyback on that, when they are in tech world, they are working with people in different countries, different culture,
Yeah.
and to influence them through your communication, through your understanding of the individual's mindset is
Yeah.
very, very important.
Yeah, it really
And
is.
you also have a book coming, or it is it's come. I just read that the Facilitation Advantage.
Yeah.
Is it already released or is
It
coming?
is. Yes, it's
Mm.
available wherever you find your
Oh, great.
books. I co-wrote it with my colleague Kat Coppett,
Uh-huh.
and it is written for uh, technical people, in essence.
Oh,
And
nice.
because I think a lot of us don't see ourselves necessarily as facilitators,
Mhm.
but the Latin root of the word facilitate is to make things easier, to
Mm.
render less difficult. And
Mhm.
I don't know anyone today that's working in any organization that doesn't have that responsibility directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
Make it easier for people to understand your point. Make it
Mhm.
less difficult for people to change. Make it easier for people to follow your path or your vision. And that, in essence, is all of our jobs all the time. And so this book breaks down what are the skills to make things easier, to render things less difficult. And the way the book was written, because I think a lot of people don't have the bandwidth to read books cover to cover, it's almost written as a troubleshooting book.
Mm.
You go to a quick self-assessment of where do you find, let's say your meetings are not effective because they go too long or no one speaks
Mhm.
or when you present, you're finding that people don't engage or aren't bought in your ideas. Then you go to that chapter and then you'll learn specific takeaways you can use in your very next meeting.
Well, a meeting, running an effective meeting, running an effective call, it is
Hmm.
so important because I know people just go nuts when they are on a call, specifically a team call.
Yeah.
So there is for a person listening to us, and if they're struggling with this challenge where
Yeah.
they are talking to their team, but no one is executing the task,
Hmm.
they are not seeing any engagement in their
Hmm.
team meeting.
Yeah.
How does a good facilitation skills can help them
Sure.
in making those team meetings better
Yeah.
or reinforce the delegation as well as reinforce confidence in themselves? Any
Yeah.
suggestions?
I'll give you one very specific one, and it comes from the chapter on listening.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're frustrated because you're having meetings but no one is engaging with you,
Mm-hmm.
the first place to troubleshoot is the kind of question you're asking. I find in a lot of meetings that the question someone will talk quite a bit and then they'll stop and they'll say, "Does anybody have any questions?"
Mm-hmm.
And what I find is often that's not enough to draw people out. And
Mm-hmm.
the risk is that you end that meeting or in that call thinking, "Oh, well, I guess that went well. Nobody had any questions."
Mm-hmm.
When reality is that your question isn't working hard enough to draw out other voices. So, for instance, instead of saying, "Does anybody have any questions?" ask a more curious question. For instance, what's one concern you have about this plan? Or what are you excited about when we launch this? Or
Mm-hmm.
how do you think we should be implementing this different than our last project? Those are more curious questions that will tend to draw people out. And so, if there's one thing your listeners can do immediately, it's to replace that question. I think it's the most ineffective question.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Absolutely. And honestly, I'm admitting I'm also party to it.
Oh, we
Right,
all are.
early days, we have done those mistakes
Yeah.
because one of the reason why it happens because
Yeah.
you are running out of time. You want to move to the next meeting,
Right.
but
Right.
we forget that those people who are on our
Hmm.
call,
Yeah.
for them this is very important. For
Yeah.
you to be an effective leader, don't rush into meetings just because it is scheduled. Give time and keep buffer between your meetings. So thank you,
Yeah.
Denise. I think this is a very great and a practical tip. And I also know there is a book out there, The Art of Asking Questions,
Hmm.
be available on Amazon. I think it's a good read.
Great book.
Yes, it would be very, very effective if you are having a challenge of disengagement
Yes.
during your team meetings. So,
Yes.
thank you, Therese. Now, Therese, we are moving towards our end of the segment, and before I move to our rapid fire round, I wanted to give an opportunity to you. Is if any listeners listening to us, any people who are watching us on YouTube,
Mhm.
If they're excited about your book, they're excited about that delegation, and they are still having that issue to within their leaders to delegate, how they
Mhm.
can approach and how they can work with you.
Sure. Well, the next cohort is sold out, but we're taking a wait list. So go to theresemiclo.com and you can sign up for the next wait list that'll happen before the start of 2026, probably end of November, early December. I write a newsletter through LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn and sign up for the Shift newsletter. I write that once a week and it's around all the topics that we are just talking about. And then visit my website, theresemiclo.com, where you can see other ways that you can work with me, whether one on one coaching, peer group coaching. Also, I work with organizations. Before we work on training, let's work on what are the leadership competencies that matter to the organization. Often that's the starting point, not just jump to training.
Wow. So it's just not giving the results, or it's just not about doing it. It's basically doing the diagnostic to what is important for you, what is important for
Yeah.
the organization. So thank
Yeah.
you for bringing that up, and we will include your website on our show notes, so it's easier for people to reach out to you.
Great.
Now we're moving to the fun rapid fire round, Therese. And
Okay.
this is 5 questions coming your way, and would love to know the responses and the fun questions. The first one, a quotation you live by.
Hmm. Uh, this was a hard one for me because I have a lot. Um, and I'll just go back to something that's just so basic. But that is to treat others as you would want to be treated.
Hmm.
And I don't know, it's a mindset that I want everyone to live by. And I think that if we can approach conversations more with how would I want to receive this, or how would I want to take this in, that immediately you're going to shift your behavior for the better.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Totally morning person. Let's
Okay.
have a meeting at 5 in the morning. But
Uh,
if you're going to ask me to say something smart at 6:30 p.m., you're rolling the dice.
right. What's one leadership skill you wish someone had taught you earlier?
How to manage my inner voice, how to uh, uh, manage that inner critic.
Okay. Okay. Um, tea or coffee before high stakes meeting?
Hmm. If it's before noon, coffee. It's afternoon, tea.
Okay.
Decaffeinated. Afternoon.
All right. The last one. If your career were a Netflix series, what will be the title of season one be?
Uh, uh, it would be watch her grow.
Awesome. All right. So, team, that was Therese Miclot for you. It's a great session, a lot of learnings. Now it is time for you to mention your learnings from the episode. You can put it on the show notes, or put it on the comment section in on Spotify, Apple, or as well as YouTube. Now it's my time to share my learnings from this show before we let Therese go. So there were many things that we had in common, a lot of learnings, but importantly, the topic of delegation is something bigger takeaway for me. So do the delegation not for anything else, but to increase your capacity and to improve your mental health. That is why delegation is important. Second, when you are moving your leaders from individual contributor role to a leader role, reassess them, reassess the value that they are bringing in the previous role and they're bringing into the newer role. It could have a difference, and you need to make sure as a leader that the value that the organization is getting is the one that is more important. Uh, Third one, I would say, is the around the facilitation. So, according to her, the definition of facilitation in her book, Facilitation Advantage, is to make things easier. So, if we are, and everyone, it's not about a leader, everyone is a facilitator. So, when you are a facilitator, our job is to make things easier. So, that's what is very, very important. And finally, I would say is if you are having a challenge, of team engagement. If you're having a challenge that people are not giving any inputs or they are not communicating with you, do a self evaluation. Understand what kind of questions you are asking. It's the way of asking question determines the engagement.
Mhm.
So get into that mode of asking more reflective question, more rather than just a threatening question. So focus on asking those questions that will allow the reflection from your team members, allow them to be more participative rather than being more threatened. So those were some of my learnings from the show. We will be looking forward to learnings from you on this on the episode notes. And with that said, Therese, thank you for being here. I know your next cohort is sold out, and I'm sure with God's grace, all the cohorts in the future will be sold out because the topic is so important. The work that you are doing is so magnificent, and the impact, the transformation that people who are attending your cohort is amazing. And a 6 hour saving in a work week is phenomenal. So thank you, and
Thank you.
God bless you. Thanks again.